the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
It's the infamous mob, MOBB. You can't be touched, can't you see? You man, cause me, I'm gon' do my thing. You know I do my thing. I'ma get my drink on and party like it's okay. Trust me, man, it's okay. Bounce with me in slow-mo. When they hear the kid in the house, they're like, oh no. 50 got him looking again. He open again. Got him sipping on that juice and gin. You can find me in the background, burning that backwood. Styling, stunting, doing my two-step fronting. Now I'ma tell you what them told me, homie. Just lose it, parental discretion's advised. This is grown folk music, now blend in with me. As I proceed to break it down, it's always off the chain, man, when I'm around. I play the block pumping. It was all for the dough. I get the club jumping, cause I'm sick with the flow. You know it's so loud, like wherever I go. I jam-pack the show, man, that's for sure. I got the info, you already know. Man, I get it popping in the club. Everybody show me love, let's go. You know.
Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. You know, when I think about it, I played myself not going to the final lap 50 Cent tour. I definitely should have taken that in. The songs that hit for 50, they hit. Those misses, they miss. In my opinion, you know, my humble opinion. But the ones that bang, they bang. Seriously, I should have gone to see 50 at the final lap tour, but I did not. Well, welcome in. You know, RSVP is the show where we hit all the trending topics across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. I, of course, am your host, Jill Munroe. It's a Tuesday, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. I think I'm feeling it now. Like, I was all up yesterday. Today, I'm like, feels like we're coming off of a holiday weekend. But I'm ready for tonight. I hope you are. You know, as always, we have so very much to get into. So let me run down what we have on the agenda tonight. We also have a guest, so that is lovely. So 50 Cent, you know how Andy does. It's not by accident that we started the show with a little fitty. 50 Cent has been going hard at Diddy ever since the announcement of his sexual assault charges. And today, in the midst of some announcements that came from Diddy, we'll get into those later, 50 has offered to buy Revolt. So we're going to get into, was he joking? Was he serious? Is it a good idea? We're going to talk about all of that. Also, we're going to get into Tina Knowles. You know, she clapped back at the Beyonce haters because y'all had a lot to say about Beyonce's appearance at the Renaissance premiere over the weekend. So we're going to get a little bit into that. Shannon Sharp, you know, Shannon and his Nightcap podcast might have overtaken Club Shay Shay. He's been chatting quite a bit. So he had some commentary on Megan Thee Stallion, as well as what he does when a young lady enters his aura and his existence. So we're going to get into all of that. We are also going to, we're going to talk a little bit about Mark Cuban. There are some things happening in his mix that we're going to get into that are going to change some dynamics in the NBA. We have a Tamar Braxton update. Love makes you do strange things, right? Right. And we're also going to get into a little bit of T.I. There's a follow-up. And, you know, we talk about OnlyFans a lot, but people are really getting into the bag. We're going to let you know who the top entertainers are on OnlyFans and what they are alleged to be bringing in per year. Spoiler alert, it's quite a bit. It is quite a bit. And we have a special guest. We'll be talking to him shortly. NBA champion, NCAA champion, We're not getting into him right now. Antoine Walker, we're going to be talking to him. I got some questions for Antoine. He has a new documentary coming out. He has a new bourbon coming out. So we're going to talk to him about all of that. But before we get into all of that, I like to start the night with a couple of conversation starters, stories that we don't really have time to fully get into, but I want to make you aware because that's what I do. I keep you informed. So first up, Dolly Parton, she performed over the weekend. Well, not on it was Thanksgiving, actually. It's all blending together between the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Commanders, And there were some people that were upset that Miss Dolly came out in her Dallas Cowboy cheerleader ensemble. Look, that uniform is iconic. If you are a woman over a certain age and had an interest in football or sports, you want it to be two things as far as like the cheerleader dancer thing. You want to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader and you wanted to be a Laker girl. That's it. Those were the epitomes. So Whoopi Goldberg is defending the 77-year-old. She let people know that the critics about her age, she told them to bite her. Sunny Holston also agreed. She said that she wished she looked as good as Dolly does at her current age right now. So y'all cut Dolly some slack. She wrote I Will Always Love You. She wrote Jolene. And she's one of those ones that behind the scenes really puts in for the culture and for all people. She's great with charity. So much respect to Dolly Parton. Also, everybody had jokes about Andre 3000 and his flute album, as people are referring to it as. But guess what? Andre is racking up the streams. So in its first week of release, it outsold many mainstream, so to speak, rappers with its streaming and sales numbers. So 24,000 were the sales numbers. Nas had 17,000 that week. Logic, 18,000. Lil TJ, I don't even know who that is. 22,000. Ice Spice, 15. Lil Wayne, 19. So you guys are taking in the ambient vibes and, maybe chilling out. I think it's a good thing. I think Andre can help spread peace and love to the world. Listen, on the other side, we have NBA champion Antoine Walker joining us, and we're also going to get into these trending topics and headlines. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward.
Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So I told you we have a guest tonight. I'm very excited to welcome him behind the velvet ropes into VIP status. He is a NBA All-Star, an NBA champion, the sixth pick of the 1996 NBA draft. So much more. We're going to talk to him about his upcoming documentary. He has a bourbon. And of course, you know me, I got questions about what is going on this season, this in-season tournament that I'm still unclear about, plus a lot of other things. Welcome in Antoine Walker. Thank you for joining us, Antoine.
Man, thank you for having me. This is about time we finally got the connection together. I like that.
I know it's been a minute, but I'm glad that it worked out and we are locked in now. So thank you for staying up late. It is appreciated. How are you in general? How is life? How are things?
Things are great, man. Just here in Chicago and enjoying life. Just got to enjoying Thanksgiving with the family and feeling good. You know, enjoying the season, just getting, this is a good time of year.
It is a good time of year. Football's going, basketball's kicking into overdrive. I mean, I suppose there's some other sports out there that you could pay attention to, but why would you? So listen, before I get into you, I have a question for you. Does this in-season tournament make sense? Because I kind of don't understand the purpose of it outside of, a little extra money grab with more eyes in Vegas. Do people really care?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I think the perception was that the season was a little boring. They need to have a little excitement to it. It's not really a money grab. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to devalue a dollar, but when you really think about guys now are making $30, $40, $50 million a year, so I don't think it's really a money grab. I think it's something to try to make it more exciting. Maybe they feel like the fan base wanted it. This is I think this comes from overseas. If my history and everything serves me correctly, they do this a lot in overseas and have these little tournaments throughout the season. I just think it's bad for the league. I'm not a big component of it. I'm not a big fan of it because the records. Guys work so hard to play a typical 8 preseason, 82-game season, and the records are the same. So now you got these records, and guys may play their best basketball, but they put into this tournament now. So they won't count for their individual because you're still playing a regular season schedule. So it's just a lot of, as a basketball guy, I'm a junkie. I'm a huge basketball fan as well as playing the game. I love everything about the game. I just don't like this part of it. I'm not a big fan of it. But if it's to provide excitement, if we have to get everything a chance, we'll see what happens when we get down to like the Final Four and see if the fans get into it and everybody's involved in it and they play for these cups. Let's see if they like it. So the jury's still out.
Okay, we'll see. I mean, I was down on the play-in tournament, but that's been good the past couple of years, so we'll have to see what happens. So you mentioned the money, what the money is right now with the current players. Do you think with NIL, those numbers increasing for college players, do you think there will be a slowdown as far as players wanting to make the jump to the league because they're already making, for some, NBA money? They might not make that much money as they're making through NIL when they get to the league.
I think that's the hope. I think the NCAA realizes that you get guys leaving school one and done, and it kind of kills the game, and the talent doesn't, turn over as good. So I think it will help the college game because guys are now being able to make money, take care of their families. All I could do is think about from when I came in the league. I mean, when I went to college at 17, I had a child my senior year. So obviously I needed money. I need to be able to take care of my child. So I understand it from that point of view because guys are going to have situations that come up at 17 to 18 years old that some people may not understand, but it happens in life. And it happened to me. I had a kid when I was 17 years old on my way to college, and obviously I needed money to be able to take care of my kids. So I'm trying to get my mentality changes. It goes to now I'm trying to figure how fast I can get into college and play at a high level and hopefully get to the league. I mean, your mentality changes. So I think it can go both ways. I do like the fact that the players are getting paid for their image and likeness because the universities do make so much money off the players and when they're in school. So the fact that players are able to make some money off their names, I think, is great. And some guys just not going to make it. So some guys could come out and you got to think about this. Some guys could come out and be a big name high school guy that goes to college, but he may not make it to the pro.
Right.
But because he's a big name high school guy, he may be able to make $1 million.
I mean,
in a couple years.
That's a great point. I was looking at the numbers for the top 10 list. So Bronny is on top at $5 million. Shador's next, $4.5 million. Libby Dunn is 3.3. Arch Manning and Caleb Williams are tied at 4.2. And then it's like Travis Hunter, Angel Reese. The thing that stuck out to me about that list, though, is there's 3 legacy athletes on there. And you look at the NBA, there's so many players that are in it currently whose fathers played in it. I'm sure that you have former teammates that you're watching their kids come up now in college in AAU. Do you think the league is turning into a legacy league?
It can. I think we have to see it. I think you still have to. There's still very limited spots, even though they've extended the rosters to 15 and we see certain, teams keep the 15 guys now. And, obviously you got the G League and those things. So you got situations that make everything where you can be very profitable. But I think you got to put in perspective, we don't want to lose the fact that it's still very hard to make it to the league. It's still very hard it's going to be a unique set of individuals that make it to that next level. So we still got to put it in that perspective. Don't forget about that. It is more opportunities for guys to make money. But to be in that league and to be a part of that roster and contribute and, play 15 years, and those things are still going to be very hard to come by.
Facts.
Even though it's a lot of other things, because you can go overseas. I mean, obviously you could play in the G League, and I mean, it's a lot of other things that you could do to make money. But to be able to be in that league and to get that full package that comes with the NBA, it's still going to be very limited.
Okay. Well, thank you for, satisfying my curiosity on all of that stuff. Now I want to talk about you. So you have a documentary that you're working on, right? A lot of people are familiar with certain aspects of your story, but what do you think is the biggest misconception as far as you and your career and sort of the journey that you've taken is?
Well, I think the biggest misconception, and kind of fast forward, I think people have a misconception of how I lost my money. I was going through a situation in Vegas where I had a bad week and exceeded my credit line, and they wanted their money back in 45 days. I wanted a deal on it, and people think, oh, he lost his money gambling and those things. No, I did what typical people do in the world. I was a part of the real estate game in 2008, went through the recession. I put pretty much of my financial portfolio into the real estate game. And whether it was the right move or a bad move, it went bad for me in a span for 4 years from 2008 to 2012. So it's just one of those situations that happens. Obviously, you never want it the way, but the media is going to always portray it the way they want to portray it to make it look how they want to look at it. But I've worked really hard over the last, I would say 5 to 6 years and just trying to recreate my image, recreate the situation, turn my situation into a learning situation for a lot of young guys that make it to the league, that make a lot of money, that we venture off into business ventures and things of that nature. So I've tried really hard to try to change the narrative about that, and that's been my goal. And I'm gonna continue to try to fight for that, to make sure that guys can still be out here and feel free to invest and still do certain things that they want to do in their life, whether it's not just say on the court, off the court as well. So that's really been my goal over the last 4 to 5 years, on top of trying to regain my name and let people understand that wasn't the case. But with social media and with the way things are covered now, sometimes it's hard to protect yourself because everybody has an opinion.
Right, and everybody has a platform, so to speak. So, in thinking about that, kind of what you went through, right? Do you think that with this next generation of players coming up, they relate or understand? Because you are obviously probably the help or the guidance maybe that you wish you had at that point in time. Who knows? But do you think that it's resonating? Because you know how you are when you're young and like you hear stuff, but sometimes it goes through. Do you think that some of the past transgressions that happen, with you through that or others that you've seen, do you think that is sinking in, or do you think sometimes it's more experience is going to be the best teacher for most?
Well, I think it's changed now. I think and not to continue to put myself in it, but I think having ex-players that went through some financial difficulties. I'm a part of the Players Association as far as financial literacy team. I've been doing it now for the last 3.5, 4 years, and so I get to share my story with the guys, which is very therapeutic. But also, it's great because I get to be back in front of my peers and just tell them my story and tell them some of the mistakes that I made. So I think that's one thing that I do love about the NBA and the Players Association, that we're now involving guys that have went through some hardship, went through some situations to help these young guys, because the money's totally different now. These guys are coming in making way more money than we can ever imagine.
Right.
And he made a lot of money. So to be able to share stories, just to give them some warning, just to give them something to think about as they go through their financial journey. Everybody's going to be different. Everybody's situation is different. But the more that we can share with each other internally, it helps a lot of guys, because everybody wants to help their family a certain way. They want to help their friends. They want to do their family. And your family dynamics change from year to year. Some guys have kids after their third, fourth year in the league. They get married 5 or 6 years in the league. I mean, it's a lot of things that go on that changes your financial situation and your family dynamics. So I try to be that kind voice that, listen, you're going to go through this. And you got to remember, basketball players, I would say most sports guys, you retire at a very young age. I mean, everybody's not a LeBron James. Everybody's not a Kobe Bryant. They could play 20-plus years. Everybody's not that. So you got to think you're going to retire mid-30s. You got to think you're coming in at 18, 19. You play 15, 16-year career. You're going to retire early 30s, 30, 35. So you got a lot of life to live. So it's about preparing guys for those type of situations. And when you're 19 and 20 years old, you don't think about being 35, retiring. You just enjoying life. So that's where I try to come in at, keep it real type of conversation, and just put something on their brain. These guys they're smart, they're intelligent. Most of these guys are hiring great financial people, but you still want to put some realistic stuff on their brain. And that's where I come in and try to be a little different.
Facts. I know that they appreciate it. So what do you think are the top 3 areas that you talk to them about protecting themselves in? And is it much different from, let's say, which you would have wanted someone to talk to you about when you were in their same position?
Well, I think one thing you first and foremost, you want to create this lifestyle that you're going to be able to maintain for the rest of your life. So whatever it is, that's your family dynamic to your own personal spending habits and things of that nature. So you want to create this lifestyle that you're going to be able to maintain for the rest of your life. So that's the first and foremost thing you want to kind of get in front of guys and try to help them understand as they continue to make this type of money that they're making. And then after that, it's about generational wealth. I think one thing that we don't talk about enough is generational wealth. We're making enough money to have money for our kids, their kids, and their kids. That's the type of money that these guys are making now. When you see guys now, when you see this summer what these guys are going to sign for a $300 million contract, these guys are making enough money for, multiple, couple generations now.
But don't you think that people thought that about you? That
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, at that time, I was a guy that, I signed a 6-year, my biggest deal was a 6-year, $71 million deal. So you got to think about that in hindsight, but you also, when you get that money, you create a lifestyle or you add to a lifestyle that's already existing, and you have to think about, hey, I may be done at 35, 36 years old. I got to make sure. So I think the great thing that I love about the NBA Players Association, what we got going on now, is that you're bringing guys back like myself that have been through it, that understand it. We're getting in front of these guys. We're giving them as much education as we can. We're giving them situations that they never seen before. And you see some guys have very successful stories, and then you see some guys have some stories that have not been successful.
Facts. We had Derek Anderson on. That was your teammate in Miami, yes?
Oh, yeah.
And college, and he's part of the Players Association. He was talking to us about the mental health side. So it's really your generation that's ushering in that change. I think that's important to mention because we don't talk about it enough. But you guys, I feel, are there for players in, not that the generation above you wasn't there, but I think it's a different way. It's impacting them in a different sort of way. It's more connected.
Without question. I think when guys are able to see you go through trials and tribulations, we just talked about, I went through a huge bankruptcy and had to basically restart my life, reset my life, and people see you land on your feet. That speaks volumes to guys to know that, you can make a few mistakes and still land on your feet. But also just being aware. I think us coming back, the more guys you can come back and share their financial stories, and there's a lot of great stories out there. I think obviously we don't want to forget about this. There's a lot of great financial stories out there. The guys did a lot of great things with their money. But there's also some stories out there. Some guys, lack of education, not knowing. And I think we try to figure out how we can be best fit to help these young guys out. And they're going to still do what they want to do. They still have their own family dynamics. They still have their own things they want to do. But at least if you put these things in front of them and let them at least have options and understand and learn from other guys' mistakes, I think that's going to help. You're going to hear more success stories than bad stories.
Well, when we come forward on the other side, I want to hear more about the doc. I want to know about the bourbon. I'm not a bourbon drinker, but I might be persuaded. And right. I want to ask you about the lifestyle because I feel like that is something that we talk about, but we don't realize how much it can impact things. So we're going to get into that when we come forward. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
I need that brand in my system, P on my side twisting. In club through vague with a chick that go both ways. Let me see that ID that's for grown folk. Put a drink till the worm is gone. Hit the dance floor like a scene from soft porn. For it pop, make them sign a disclaimer. Try to get me on some pop. These tricks are framing, but in any event,
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is unveiling a new plan to house migrants. The Black mayor's proposal is to move asylum seekers into 17 churches as construction starts on a winterized tent camp. Pregnant women, children, and those who have been sleeping outside will be the first ones on buses. Members of Chicago's faith-based community and charitable groups also seek to help migrants with food, clothing, and work opportunities at a cost of $350,000. Some residents in Pickaway County's Scioto Township in Ohio are demanding that an elected trustee resign for allegedly using a racial slur. WSYX-TV reports trustee Barton Fannin used the offensive word at a meeting on November 17th while referring to the Juneteenth holiday. Fellow trustee John Maynard says he was present for the comment and condemns Fannin's language. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Southern California Edison. Make plans to stay safe in an emergency or a public safety power shutoff. Have a shared plan for you and your loved ones. Start today at sce.com/be prepared.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcasts of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader.
Following the leader.
Oh my God. Follow the leader. 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 Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chucha's opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chucha's Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit LAFLA.org. LAFLA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, yeah, boy. If I had a wish, baby, I wish he never left you feeling like this.
I bet you think you stumping me, huh, Andy? Okay, I was like, just so we know, this is Cheers to You, Playa, rest in peace, Static Major. It goes down. Welcome back into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. We are joined by our guest, NBA champion Antoine Walker. Thank you, Antoine. So you have a documentary that you're working on. You said that it is going to shed light on some of the misconceptions about you. What made you decide that you wanted to share your story? And, you know, you've talked quite a bit, not quite a bit, that's not how I mean it, but you've talked to people about your story and what you went through as far as your finances. Are you going to be opening up other aspects of your life with this documentary?
Well, yeah, obviously. I think it's kind of like a tell-all type of situation, just to let my story out. I think everybody's situation is totally different. But I think the misconception, because at the same time when I was going through my financial hardship, I went through a situation in Vegas where I lost a bunch of money in Vegas, and people thought, oh, he gambled his money away. And it was a very small fraction of the money that I lost, a super small fraction. So I felt really bad about it. I wanted to kind of clear the air. I didn't like the verbiage and the things that were being said about me. And I basically just sat down and was like, you know what, I'm going to just turn my situation into a learning tool for other athletes so they can learn from my mistakes. And that's basically what spearheaded me. And I've been able to be in great situations from Morgan Stanley's Global Sports and Entertainment, giving me an opportunity to be in front of student athletes, and then over the last 3 years to be back in front of my peers has been very therapeutic as well as great for me. So I look at all those things, and I think it just worked out to a situation where my story has been a learning tool for a lot of guys. I think me being open and honest about my situation and the trials and tribulations that I went through, hopefully it's helping a lot of young guys. Hopefully I'm shedding some light to guys that are young, that are getting money at 18, 19 years old and become millionaires, and being able to navigate through this whole system of having money at a very young age. So I just didn't like with social media, obviously, in this day and age, people can put all type of things out about you. I just thought it was very important for me to tell my story the right way and the only way, and that's what I've been trying to do over the last 5 or 6 years. And hopefully I've been very helpful to a lot of young guys and young athletes, and I'm going to continue to push and try to do that.
Well, we love to see that. We have a YouTube stream that goes along with the show, and there is a Salam Thompson in the chat. He said, shout out to my high school teammate. He's not talking about me. So
that's a good thing. He must have went to Mount Carmel. He must be a caravan.
Okay.
There must be a caravan. Yeah, if he said high school teammates, so either that or on the AAU circuit. So that's good. I've always had much love from Chicagoans, so I'm always good to see my Chicagoans still support me.
Okay, we love to hear that. So I was asking you a little bit about the lifestyle, because especially now with social media, I think you had like MySpace and Facebook. Probably caught, you were getting there with Twitter and Instagram, but
I ain't that old. Don't do me like that.
I'm joking. I don't mean it like that. But when I say that is, like, you think about what Instagram is right now and TikTok. You think about, like, what's the guy from OKC, Josh Giddey? I think that's his name. He just got caught up with some potential, sketch accusations and that nature. And we've seen things where, people have photographed, recorded things that probably shouldn't have made the light of day, and have put different athletes in predicaments. John Morant, we could talk about that, or things like that. So how do you talk to them about those type of pressures? Because obviously, like I said, you might have been getting it in on the Facebook or the MySpace, but it's a little different now, no?
Well, I think when you look at, and it's great as you said that about John Morant's situation and things of that nature. I think, obviously these guys, young guys, and I think they should have social media training. I think that's something the league should do. When you're in your personal space and you're going out in public and you're enjoying your life, you got to put the phones down. Everything ain't for the public. You can't stop somebody else from pulling out their phone if you're out in public, but your own self. You see a lot of guys self-inflicting these wounds to themselves. they're videotaping themselves or their friends, people that are supposed to be in their corner that are videotaping them. And I think that's where the problem lies, that we still got to have a personal life. I'm not saying that we're going to always be out doing something negative, but maybe it may be negative to the world, but it's positive to what you like to do in your life. And so I just think we have to put that in perspective as young athletes got to do, is stop putting everything on social media. Stop broadcasting everything you do in your life. You don't have to. That's not the way you remember. Ain't nothing wrong with taking a picture. Maybe save a picture back in the day. I wish I had pictures from back in the day when I was out partying. We didn't think about taking a phone out. We didn't have camera phones in the beginning.
And it would have been considered tacky. Can you imagine if you were at a party in 2000 somewhere and a girl busted out her, was trying to flick a picture of you on her sidekick? You would be mad. You wouldn't never did that. So I just think it comes both ways. I think that's where sometimes it's been a celebrity, and I wouldn't just say NBA players, it's been a celebrity. It's hard to go out sometimes in public because you want to be yourself, you want to enjoy yourself, enjoy whatever venue you're at. But we do have to be smart. Everything is documented now. A lot of people are, your livelihood, kind of requires you to do things the right way and not be in certain situations. So I think we have to, abide by those rules, especially with the NBA. And I feel so bad. And I spoke on Fox TV about Ja Morant's situation. I got robbed at gunpoint. I've been in a situation where I've had some situations in the streets, and I see a situation. And, I wish I would have had an opportunity to reach out to him personally and just tell him it's the way you go by doing it. Feel bad for him. This is a young talent, one of the most talented players we got in the NBA that has to miss 50 games, that's lost a bunch of money, that's betrayed a certain way, has lost endorsements. And I'm pretty sure he's not that guy. But, when your friends and people around you that supposedly love you want to pull their phones out and videotape you in a vulnerable moment when you're having a good time and you're impaired and you're not 100%, that's not cool. And I'm pretty sure he's, obviously he probably regrets it, but it happens. But those are the type of things we wish that wouldn't happen. But, that's what you got we call them OGs or old guys that have been in the league. You try to help the young guys out to help them understand that because you don't never want to be put in that situation. Absolutely not. Well, when we come forward, we are going to get the final rundown from Antoine Walker when we can look forward to this documentary, where we can pick up the bourbon, because you got to give me some details about that, and much, much more, of course, with our trending topics and headlines. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Cyber Monday deals are on at Target.com. Now through Monday, score online-only deals on some of the hottest gifts of the season, like up to 50% on select toys, 30% on select clothing, and 25% on select beauty. Find it all on the Target app, the easiest way to shop and save. And you'll love free shipping when you use your red card at Target.com. So hurry, get low prices and great Cyber Monday deals. Now through Monday, only at Target.com. Exclusions apply.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions because we've got your black. Listen up. If you're one of the more than 100,000 California tenants who were rejected or delayed when applying for COVID rental assistance, you've got a second chance. Under the terms of a new settlement, California's Housing and Community Development Department agreed to audit its past denials. The program ended in March 2022, but the advocacy groups Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, Policy Link, and Strategic Actions for a Just Economy sued the department. According to the coalition's analysis of state data, the department rejected nearly 30% of all applicants. Under the settlement, the department agreed to clear all renters in the pipeline within 6 months. The settlement applies to anyone who sought assistance from the state's Housing is Key program before April 1st, 2022, whose whose applications is pending or was denied after June 6, 2022. Tenants who have questions about the status of their application can call the hotline at 833-430-2122. That's 833-430-2122. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great. But with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Are you hungry? 'Cause everyone left after the asparagus sorbet.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Antoine, thank you so much for hanging out with us. So when can we expect the documentary and where can we get the bourbon?
Well, the documentary is something I've been working on for a long time. Just to give you a little backstory. So as we was talking about earlier in the interview, it was a lot of negativity and people putting false stories out about how I, filed my bankruptcy and some of the things that went on through my NBA career, through my life. So I shot the documentary to kind of clear the air. And in the process of that, I was very fortunate to get picked up by Morgan Stanley's Global Sports and Entertainment. So they bought the documentary from me, and we basically went on an educational tour across the country. So I've been to about 70 to 80 universities across the country, sharing my story with student athletes, trying to help them as they prepare for the whether it's the NBA, NFL. So it was a great learning experience, very therapeutic for me personally. I want to give a big shout out to Drew Hawkins, who was at Global Sports and Entertainment, a brother from D.C. who believed in me and believed in my story and thought I could be impactful to a lot of youth. So I was very fortunate for that. And one thing he did, he made sure that he gave me my documentary back after we finished our relationship with Morgan Stanley. So I've been wanting to put this out, being able to share it with everybody in the world. It was kind of putting the bubble a little bit, putting a little bottle. So now everybody's getting a chance to see it. So hopefully in the spring, it's going to come out. We still have a few interviews that I want to do because obviously I'm in a different space that I was back then. So I want to add a few extra interviews because I still believe I'm doing good work in the community and I'm doing a lot of great things. So I want to add a few more interviews and things to the documentary. So we're looking at the spring for it to come out for the world again. Trying to find the right partners, but the interest has been great. People are really, I'm very overwhelmed by the interest in my story and me being able to tell my story. I don't want to give anything out, out the way that may not happen, but we got a few people on the table that's willing to put this out and get it to the world. But it's been great. We're still a couple interviews short, but we ain't missing a beat. Okay. Everybody that's been a part of my life, from family, friends, to people that have been over the last 10 years of my life, are going to be involved in this documentary. It's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to it. I got a lot of heart and soul into this and trying to make it as real as possible and just make it a learning tool for a lot of people.
Well, we can't wait to see it. That is amazing that you were able to spread a message like that to so many student athletes across the country. And, of course, before I let you go, what's up with the bourbon? So I am not a bourbon drinker. Convince me.
Well, let me just say this. So the bourbon is a very unique situation. So I'm a cigar smoker. I smoke cigars a lot. And usually you pair cigars with bourbons and scotches and those things. So that's how I came about the bourbon. But the bourbon came from a season ticket holder in Boston. She watched me play in my career. She was starting a bourbon, and she basically hit me with an opportunity of a lifetime to be a part of her bourbon and if I was willing to be able to be kind of a spokesperson for it. And I jumped on the opportunity because I do love bourbons. I love smoking cigars, and it just pairs really well. So it's no like underlying deep secret to it. It's just one of those situations that I've been smoking cigars for, last 15, 16 years of my life on a golf course and just casually. And it just gave me an opportunity to be a part of something special. So I'm looking forward to it launching and coming out. Hopefully it'll be out in the next 6 to 8 weeks, and everybody get an opportunity to hear about it.
Okay, bourbon, cigars, golf. I like that. That sounds like that sounds like goals. So listen,
I'm an old man now.
You relax.
I'm an old man
because secretly, I think I can say this comfortably. I have seen you shimmy in the club a time or two back in the day. You got your big one on. You got your big one on. It was definitely a party when you stepped in the building.
I still like to go out and hear the music and what's going on from time to time. But I'm a little older, a little bit more reserved, so I can do it in a more chill, relaxed atmosphere.
Okay, I accept that. We actually do have a caller that called in that would like to speak with you, Dale from Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
Dale, you're on the line with Antoine. Welcome to RSVP.
Well, thank you very much. I just have a few suggestions. First of all, it's probably... well, let's put it this way. For me to go ahead and tell someone how to spend their money, that would be presumptuous on my part. But one thing that could be done is that the players' associations from the basketball, football, baseball, heck, even hockey, can go to the NCAA and demand that a curriculum be developed to go ahead and teach these athletes how to manage their business. For example, when you go to medical school, or before you go to medical school, you have to take prerequisites on the undergrad level to qualify for medical school. Well, you should be able to take prerequisites, even though you can't force a person to go to a class. They said, well, look, if you take these classes here, by the time you graduate, you will have a degree in this area in regards to sports administration or whatever, and you will be able to go ahead and to handle your business or to be able to be management in the event if you're not able to make it to the pros. And something like that could be enforced because the NCAA has been making millions off these athletes and have not been educating these athletes. Even if an athlete chooses to go ahead and leave after 2 years, okay, that's on them. But still and yet, to have these programs laid out with remedial classes, because, they're not prepared even when they come out of high school either, to go ahead and to get them prepared for the best possible outcome with classes, with lectures coming in from, this is what the agent does, and have an agent, sports agents come in. Same with attorneys, or managers. Have a full curriculum for these student athletes so they can become student businessmen. That's my suggestion.
Oh, and hopefully Jill, can I respond to that?
Absolutely. I would love for it.
I think that's a great question. I think that's a great idea. I think it should be a part of the electives. I'm not, obviously you got to take your curriculums and your core classes, but I think it should be a part of it. For athletes, it probably should be mandatory. I would have loved that type of course coming out of school way back then. I think, and I can even thumb it down to where I would tell you're making a lot of sense is that I didn't understand taxes coming in. I didn't know $1 million wasn't $1 million. My first year, I made $1.6 million, and $800,000 went to taxes. That blew me I couldn't understand that.
I know that hurt.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, so what you're saying, it makes a great sense. Whether or not they pick up on it and whether or not they do it, that remains to be seen. I think obviously it's a great idea. It needs to be brought to the forefront. I think it would make our kids a lot better, especially, a lot of our kids that are making it pro and most athletes are, African Americans that are not, their parents don't come from a lot. So sometimes you don't even get to those type of conversations at home. So they got to be taught too. So I think it can go way deeper there. I think it's a great idea, and it's something that needs to be acted on. I think that's a great question. It needs to be something that we need to try to pursue because it's definitely a lack of education. I didn't have a lack of all the knowledge. Yeah, so you got to figure out what to do.
Yeah, that's why and it would have to be something that would have to be, quite frankly, pushed by all of the major sports unions, the football, basketball, really all the sports, because it goes beyond even being a matter of a black and white issue. It's an athlete issue where you got white athletes unprepared once they come out of the pros. They have maybe a better chance. They may know some people or have some people that may pull them to the side and look out for them a little bit more than maybe some of the black athletes, but they're faced with the same situations. And when they come out of college at whatever level, they're incompetent in terms of handling their business. It's like a musician. It's like the entertainment industry. There's emphasis on show, but not the business. And as a result, musicians get take advantage of it. It's the same thing with the athletes. There's a emphasis on the sports program aspect of it, but not the business aspect of it. And that's what I wanted to suggest. I wasn't trying to.
I appreciate it. No, it's definitely that. And if you don't mind, I'm definitely going to steal it. I have a voice and help put together a program to be in front of these guys. So I definitely have a voice. I don't have a deep voice to go take it to the collegiate level, but I do work a part of the Players Association and has a voice in trying to help our young guys make better decisions. So I think that's a great suggestion. I think obviously it has to be played all the way through. But it takes, not only myself, but it takes other athletes stepping up that have got to remember when they was 18, 19, 20 years old, just coming into the league and how unaware they was of how a value of $1. And I think once we start to do that, we'll help each other out, and that thing passes down from generation to generation. So I do personally appreciate that. You just put something on my head personally to bring up, and we'll see what happens. You never can make anybody do anything, but ain't nothing wrong with suggesting some things that can possibly be helpful. So thank you for that.
Amazing, Dale. Thank you so much for your call. Thank you for contributing to the cause. Antoine, thank you for taking the time out to call in. You have to let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, I'm under Antoine Walker, but it might be at Antoine Walker 8 or Walker Antoine. People steal your names. I got a common name. I don't really play with my name, so. But I got the confidential blue checks finally put on my name, so you can find me on that. But appreciate you having me on your show.
You got to come back. You're not going to get off that easy. You got to come back.
Yeah, Doc is coming back. I'm coming your way once we got we're going to have our little city promo tours. We coming your way.
You got to. You got to.
Yes, I need you to help you support it. I need me help me support my doc and everything. It's going to be great. We in I would say we 65% finished. We still want some interviews. We got some guests, some special guests that we want to be a part of it, but we're 65% finished. I can't wait till it come out and get to share my story with the world. Hopefully it'll be a learning tool for a lot of people. It's not made to be something that I'm embarrassed about. I just want to share it, get it out there, and make it a learning tool for a lot of young athletes that come up in this league and for our culture.
Facts. I can't wait to see it.
Just another learning tool for our culture and things that we go through. So I'm excited about it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. And the next conversation we're going to be talking about at a theater or on this network. That will be the next conversation.
For sure. I can't wait because, we're going to have a lot of questions about all of that, too. Thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your night. I appreciate it, Antoine. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics, more headlines. I'm going to get to the 50 Cent story because I think there's a missing element that people aren't aware of. Plus, we have, phone calls. We're going to get into Miss Tina Knowles and her comments about Beyonce. She's not playing with y'all and her baby. All of that and more. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is unveiling a new plan to house migrants. The Black mayor's proposal is to move asylum seekers into 17 churches as construction starts on a winterized tent camp. Pregnant women, children, and those who have been sleeping outside will be the first ones on buses. Members of Chicago's faith-based community